If you thought the UFC couldn't get any worse when it comes to handing out title shots in 2025, they topped themselves yesterday with the news that Movsar Evloev will not be fighting Alexander Volkanovski next for the featherweight title, and this is absolutely ridiculous, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. My name is James Lynch, and if you're wondering why I'm dressed up, I got to do a Q&A for Cage Titans, great regional promotion in the next hour. Got to talk to the fighters, so I have to look professional. Unfortunately, I'm not dressed up for you guys, but let's talk about this news. I mean, we kind of figured this was going to happen, right? For whatever reason, Movsar Evloev has become the new Magomed Ankalaev Bilal Muhammad of the featherweight division. This is a guy that unfortunately has not finished a lot of his fights, and for whatever reason, the UFC is holding that against him. Now, we got this from the tweet yesterday from Evloev saying, if you are a UFC fighter and believe you are the best in the world, you have to fight every fight they throw at you, no risk, no rewards. See you in July. It is on. So he's going to be fighting on the Abu Dhabi card. We're waiting on the opponent. I have a theory as to who that could be. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. So yeah, we know he's not fighting Volkanovski. Volkanovski should not be defending his title in Abu Dhabi. And we got further clarification on this from another tweet that he put out here saying, thank you, champ, for trying to fight me. I will fight in July and fight you in September. I read that wrong. He says, I will fight in July and you fight in September. Hopefully we both win and we can meet in December. So it looks like he's fighting in July, Evloev, and then he will fight in September. And then we both can meet in December. That's what he's hoping for. By the way, Evloev's handling this the best way you could. I mean, everyone knows that he's getting screwed here, big time. I don't need to back up the stats, but if we go have a quick look at this, I mean, Movsar Evloev is undefeated in his career. He's got wins over Diego Lopez, Aljamain Sterling. I mean, you go through the list. He's 31 years old in the prime of his career. The issue is is that he's not finishing fights. Sorry, voice is a little raspy. I was coaching hockey last night, but you can see here that he hasn't finished any of his opponents, and unfortunately, that's what I guess the UFC is holding against him. But this is stupid. Like, what are we doing here? Because basically what this means now is that Yair Rodriguez is going to get the title shot against Alex Volkanovski in September. He said September. I'm assuming we're talking about the card at the Sphere, or not the Sphere, but the Noche UFC card. So if you look at it here, September, UFC 320, Volk's not fighting on a fight night. He's going to fight on a pay-per-view. It sure seems like they're going to be doing Yair Rodriguez in Mexico against Volkanovski, which is silly. We'll get to that fight in a sec, because that's, to me, one of the worst title shots the UFC's done in recent memory. But, getting back to this, I'm assuming Evloev's fighting Aaron Pico. I don't know who else he could fight in the division. What's like a fresh matchup? He's fought pretty much all of these guys already. I don't think they're going to be doing Diego Lopez. Well, obviously, he already fought Diego Lopez. They're not going to do that fight. Toporia's moved up. Topuria shouldn't be ranked, by the way. If you vacate your title and move up a weight class, you should be out of there. Sorry, I know my face is covering the rankings here. He's fought Allen. He's not fighting Ortega. He's not fighting Lerone Murphy. Maybe he's fighting Lerone Murphy, but I doubt it. But I think we heard the rumblings of Aaron Pico. It certainly seems that way. And I did a video on this already. Aaron Pico does not deserve a fight against Movsar Evloev at all. He wasn't a champion in Bellator. He didn't even fight for a Bellator title. That makes absolutely no sense. And that really looks to me, if they are going to do the Pico fight, that they want Evloev to lose and hope that Pico knocks him out. So there's that side of it. Now we got another update here. Jean Silva, that could be another option for Volkanovski. We know that the UFC likes the fighting nerds, that they want to fast track a lot of those fighters there. You look at Carlos Prates getting the fight with Ian Gary. Jean Silva, I mean, there could be a world where the UFC gives him a title shot, but he says on courtesy of Championship Rounds, actually it's not courtesy of them, they just grabbed the clip here, but it says Jean Silva says he's not been offered a fight with Diego Lopez, believes it makes sense now. I think Evloev will fight Aaron Pico, then Yair Rodriguez versus Volkanovski, then it's just me and Diego. I know there's been some rumblings about Diego Lopez and Jean Silva. My understanding is that's not like official or done or anything like that. I could see that fight making sense, but I don't think that's going to, take place. But either way, the reason I wanted to bring this up is because there could be, the only other opponent I think that they could do for Volk outside of Yair Rodriguez would be Jean Silva. And even that I understand a little bit more because Jean Silva has looked amazing. There's a lot of hype behind him. He's been very active. He's been finishing all of his opponents. Like I could even understand that, but they're going to go with Yair Rodriguez. Are you kidding me? Let's look at Yair Rodriguez. Okay. First and foremost. And listen, I like Yair, fun, exciting fighter, but we saw this fight not that long ago. Okay, so Yair, 32 years old. So a couple things. First off, he fights Volk in 2023 at UFC 290. So we're not even 2 years removed. Well, we're coming up to 2 years removed from that fight. And let's be honest, Volk dominated him in that matchup. Let's go look at the stats from that one, okay? Look at this. Overall total strikes, 149 compared to 57. And Volk finished him in the fight. right? Like it wasn't even like a controversial decision, or maybe like Volk clipped him and it was a lucky shot. It wasn't any of those things. We saw him get absolutely destroyed here. And it's not even like Yair's a former champion, so you could say, well, he lost a fight and then he won one, so he should get his title shot again, right? That was the whole argument with Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland actually won a title, and then people are like, how come he's getting to fight DDP after beating Paulo Costa in not a great fight? Well, it's because he was a former champion. Rodriguez is not a former champion. He's a former interim champ, but that shouldn't count anyways. And then he loses to Brian Ortega, and then he fights Pitbull, which, let's be honest here, he was supposed to win that fight. He was a minus, well, he actually should have been a bigger favorite. I'm actually surprised it wasn't more to that. But, Pitbull's 37. He's 32. He was supposed to win that fight, and he did win that fight. But here's the other thing. He didn't even finish Pitbull. And we've seen Pitbull finished before. And this is not to slight Patricio Pitbull. I'm a big fan of him. But 37 years old, and he was finished just a couple fights ago. He's been finished a couple times in his career. He's been finished 3 times in his career. So, the fact that he wasn't, like, I could even understand if Rodriguez went in there and finished Pitbull in the first round. Maybe that's an argument. But honestly, and we'll wait till it's 100% official. If Yair Rodriguez gets his title shot against Volk, this is one of the worst title shots in UFC history. This might be the worst one, to be honest. Just because Rodriguez has done next to nothing to deserve a title shot. He had a fight with Volk, which wasn't competitive. People talk about Charles Oliveira and Islam, and that fight wasn't competitive at all. Oliveira's had to fight at least 3 times to get a title shot again. Rodriguez, he's fighting, twice? And one of the guys he fought was kind of it was, like I said, the fight with Pitbull, I think, was a very winnable fight for him there. And then he was coming off a loss, too. At least with Oliveira, he lost a, close fight with Arman Tsarukyan. Brian Ortega is not exactly a good loss to have in your resume in 2025. So I'm guessing they just wanted to put Yair on this card and give the title shot because they're trying to cater to the audience in Mexico. That's the only thing I can think of. But why are you doing Diego Lopez? Diego Lopez is the obvious fight for that card, unless Lopez is injured. But what are you guys doing? You had the whole buildup at the press conference. You had Diego Lopez, and Yair going back and forth. It's an exciting fight. They're 2 fighters that, clearly don't like each other. They're closely ranked together. That's the slam dunk fight. I think everyone agrees on that. That should be the fight. But I don't know anyone that wants to see this rematch. This is even worse. And I did a video on this. You guys remember this on the channel. I did a video on the Sean O'Malley title shot against Merab that we're going to see in a few weeks. I thought that was a bunch of BS too. O'Malley won his title, had a really easy title defense against Chito Vera. Let's be honest, a guy that shouldn't have got that title shot. And now, without even having to fight anyone else, O'Malley's getting an automatic rematch. I thought that was bad. This is worse. And the reason this is worse is because Yair got finished against Volk. At least with O'Malley, he went the distance with Merab. I don't think he won the fight, but this is worse because Rodriguez didn't look competitive at all, and he ends up getting finished here. Again, maybe the first round you could say was a little bit more competitive. Actually, not even. It was second round was a bit more competitive. Maybe 72% significant strikes to 63. That was a little bit closer, but first round was all Volk. Second round was all Volk, and then not all Volk, but it was closer. And then the third round, he outlanded him too. But the overall strikes do favor Volk here, 149 to 57. What are we doing here? So I don't know what the UFC's doing, but I think I feel like this is rock bottom for the UFC for title shots. Nothing makes any sense anymore. They're really just I think focusing way too heavily on the market and not focusing on not even focusing really on merit or entertainment at all. I think it's all of just what's convenient for us and the location we're going to. That's the only thing I can think of. But man, do I ever feel bad for Movsar Evloev. He switched management with the hopes of getting a title shot. It seems like that's gotten worse. The fact that he's even had to fight a couple fights since then, the fact that he had to watch a guy that he already beat in Diego Lopez get the title shot on the last featherweight title fight is ridiculous in itself here. I feel bad for the guy because I think he's a good fighter. And I know there's going to be people in the comments being like, oh, he's boring. I don't want to watch him fight and all that. Go watch that Aljamain Sterling fight again. That fight was not boring. That was a good fight. It was entertaining. It's not a fight of the year, but it wasn't a, hold me against the fence, boring type of fight here. So you can spare me with that comment here. But yeah, I'm just I feel bad for Evloev. I just don't I'm honestly at a loss for words. I don't get this at all. UFC is not listening to the fan base whatsoever. They're just doing their own thing. Same thing with Merab and O'Malley. I don't think people are really amped for this rematch too much. And again, they're risking O'Malley. If he loses again, he's going to be in a weird limbo spot, having lost twice to the champ already. If he does end up losing, this just sucks. I feel bad. I feel it seems like the UFC picked someone in the division. It was Bilal Muhammad for the longest time, then Magomed Ankalaev. They got to give this guy the title shot. So whoever he is fighting, let's say it is Pico, I think he probably wins. Let's hope he does end up getting the title shot. But this is just I'll just say this is a really bad look on the UFC going this direction and just not even rewarding fighters for activity and winning big fights. It's all about location and, building a card around that. And I think that's the wrong way to go. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. In fact, I think most people are going to agree with me here. Does anyone want to see? I want to find the person that exists that thinks that the Yair Rodriguez and Alex Volkanovski fight is the fight to make. I need to figure out if you exist. If you do exist, I'd love to hear from you. But I think most people are like me and are going, what is the UFC doing? And honestly, the other thing is you're wasting Volkanovski too. Volkanovski's got a couple fights left. Let's be honest here. He's getting up there in age. Like, why are we getting him fighting a guy that he already beat? There's no reason to do that fight whatsoever. Rodriguez is not a former champion. He's not someone that's looked incredibly great since losing to Vulk the first time. Absolutely ridiculous. So follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. Let me know what you think of this whole situation. Who do you think Evloev's fighting? All this stuff. Let me know. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching.